Hi, welcome to the Property Gurus. Today we're talking about loft conversions and how to create the wow factor. If you're going to go to the time and trouble and expense of converting your loft, you want to create something amazing, something that when people walk in there, they say, oh wow, I wish I had done that in my loft. How did you manage to achieve this look? And today we're going to talk you through the different things that we think you can do to create that wow factor. Now, you have to make sure that you're planning ahead. So the whole point of this video is really to tell you all of the different things, all of the different options that you have to create that wow factor so that you can factor it into your design. Builders hate it if you suddenly decide late in to the project that you want to make a change. It's difficult to do, it's time consuming and usually expensive for you. So plan ahead, make sure you tell your designer and your builder exactly what it is you're looking to achieve. And that means that from the outset, you will make sure that you're building the space to meet your requirements. So if you haven't done so already, please check out our YouTube channel. We've got lots and lots of loft conversion videos on there already. You'll have lots of information that you can access and have a look at, and lots of different build videos to see. So once you've done that, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. So the very first point is the floor space. The bigger, the better. Big is beautiful in terms of loft conversions. If you can create a large room, a big space, that will give the wow factor immediately. When you go up into a loft, you're never quite sure what you're going to get and how it's going to be presented. But the bigger the floor space, the more you'll have a wow factor in your property. So when you're sitting down and designing it, you may have some choices. You may have an option of putting 2 rooms into your loft. If you've got quite a big loft, then you can design it so that you have 2 bedrooms. And quite often people do that because they need more bedrooms. Maybe they've got a lot of children or they've got family members living at home and you decide that you need 2 more bedrooms. And if that's the case, then obviously you're going to have to decide that that's the way to do your loft. But if you have the choice, if you have the option of creating one large space, then we would definitely recommend doing that. That will give you the biggest wow factor. The biggest bang for your buck is going to be one big room. So if you can afford the space, if you can afford to give yourself the luxury of having one big room rather than 2 small rooms, then do that, because that will give you that instant wow factor every single time. That is the number one tip. If you can do it, and if you can build one large bedroom with lots of floor space, then that's going to be the most impressive outcome that you can achieve. So that's the number one factor. Bigger the better. The second factor is head height. The higher the head height, the more impressive your loft will be. So the higher the ceilings, the more it will feel like an amazing space. A standard room in the UK will have internal head height of 2.4 meters. If you can achieve 2.4 meters in your loft, it will make it feel amazing. If you can achieve more than 2.4, it will feel outrageously luxurious. If you walk into a loft that has very high ceilings, it does feel amazingly impressive. You will be blown away by a room that's got high ceilings in the loft. So there are a number of ways of achieving that, and you can see it on some of our other videos. But probably the easiest way of achieving it is to use what's called a cold deck roof. So there's 2 options when you're doing your roof for your dormer, and it's warm deck or cold deck. Now that might not mean anything to you if you're not in the building trade, but basically it's all about where the insulation is put. So with a warm deck, insulation is put on top of the ceiling. So the room is created usually out of timber, and then the insulation's put on top. And that might not seem very important to you, but actually that has a massive impact on your head height internally, because you're not allowed to build your loft higher than the original ridge height. So when you look at the top of your house, the line across the the whole house itself is called the ridge line, and you can't build higher than that. And your dormer has to not be visible from the roadside. So generally you have to build it slightly lower than the ridge height. And if you're putting a warm deck, so you're putting insulation on top of the ceiling, then that's going to push your ceiling height down further. If you build a cold deck, how that's constructed, the timbers are laid out and the insulation is pushed up into the timbers. So basically it's hidden within the ceiling because the timbers have to be built of a certain height anyway to make it structurally sound. And if you can then push the insulation up into those timbers, you don't lose any head height whatsoever. So it maximizes your head height internally to use a cold deck roof. So we would recommend cold deck every time because it means your ceilings will be higher internally, you'll have more head height, it will give the wow factor every single time. So that's the big tip. There is another way of achieving additional head height by lowering the ceilings on the middle floor of your house, but that's a lot more expensive and usually is only done when you absolutely have to. If you've not got enough head height to build your loft, then you'll have to do that. But we wouldn't recommend increasing your head height by lowering your ceilings because it's expensive and it causes a lot of disruption on the floor below. But more head height means more wow factor, means you will be really happy with the outcome of your loft. So definitely recommend that. The next tip is to use every single square inch of available space. Quite often, your builder will want to keep the job simple. It's much easier for him to build something that's square. So if you've got some irregular walls, so you might have a chimney breast in your loft that you have two options for. You can either square it off by just putting plasterboard across the front of it and having a nice straight line, or you can contour around it. So you could actually have the wall kinking back and having a little L turn in there and just creating sort of slightly unusual lines. Your builder will want to do the easy option, which is to square it off. Don't do that. Use every single square inch because it will be really valuable to you in the future. We recently completed a loft where we had a chimney breast and we contoured the wall around it. And because we did that, even though it was only a relatively small amount of space, it meant that we could put a full-size wardrobe into the gap that we'd left. So the extra inch or two of floor space in terms of pushing the wall back slightly meant that we had the full 600 mil to be able to build a wardrobe. So little issues like that can really make the difference. And you want some nooks and crannies and create some interesting look in your loft because that's how you get the wow. You don't want just a square room that everybody else can produce. You want something unusual, different, and something that's got your personal touch on top of it. So use every single square inch. Make sure the builder pushes the walls out as far as he can just to give you the maximum amount of usable space. The next tip that follows on from every square inch of usable space is plan some built-in storage. Your loft is going to create some unusual spaces. Because you've got a sloping roof at the front of the house, you will have an area with restricted head height. Now, it's easy for the builder to square that off and close it off and not have to worry about it. But you don't want to do that. You want to create nice storage areas. So where the roof slopes down, you will have a purlin wall. So you'll have a wall that maybe is just a metre high. But make sure that your builder uses the space behind it. And when we say use it, what you need to do is make sure that that space is insulated. So the insulation that's going in your roof has to go all the way down to the bottom, and make sure it's plasterboarded out and painted, and get him to put some skirting board in there and finish it professionally so that when you look in that eaves cupboard storage after putting some doors on it, when you look in there, it looks like a professional cupboard. So run the same flooring that you've got in your room all the way through into the cupboard spaces. And then it looks purpose-built, it looks high-end, it looks like the sort of thing you see in a magazine. And that's what you want to achieve. You want to be having spaces that look like they'd come straight out of a magazine, that people go, wow, why didn't I use that space under the eaves for extra storage? Because that will create a massive storage area for you. And the main problem with converting your loft is you lose a lot of valuable storage space, because whereas previously you may have put things in the loft, you won't be able to do that now. But if you create the built-in storage, you'll still have places to put your luggage and your Christmas trees and old photos and all that good stuff that people like to store out of the way. You'll still have those areas. But in addition to the eaves cupboard, make your builder create some built-in wardrobes and any other space that you want to use. So we recently created a loft where we had a built-in wardrobe with sliding glass doors, and that contours the shape of the room. So it's got slightly unusual height inside, but we've utilized every square inch of that. And then we also created a study stroke dressing area, again using space that would have been easy to close off and lose. So really important that you plan built-in storage before you start the build, because it's very difficult later to change your mind. So plan every square inch. So if you get the drawing from your architect and you notice some areas that you're not quite sure what's happening there, ask him, what are we doing here? Can I use that for storage? Can I put a cupboard in there? Can we put a dressing table in there? Would a desk fit in that space? Can I use it in the future? Because that's what you want to do. You want to use every square inch for your benefit. So built-in storage, really important to plan some in and make sure that it fits and looks cool, and also is going to give that wow factor. When people come in, if you have a built-in wardrobe and a built-in dressing area, those sort of things really make the difference to rooms that haven't been well designed. So the next tip is your ensuite shower room. Could be a bathroom, might be a shower room. So what do we want to do with that? Well, firstly, this will have the wow factor. So make sure your finish is high end. Spend some money on your shower room or bathroom. Get some really nice tiles. Think about the design. Get a really nice shower door, shower enclosure. Get a vanity unit. Don't just get a sink and stick it on the wall. Get a nice vanity unit with some storage built into it. Get a nice looking toilet with a soft closed seat. Get a really attractive radiator, really nice chrome or anthracite or white or whatever you think suits your taste. Get a really nice radiator and put it on the wall. Have it all really nicely laid out. Key thing here is to design it so it has everything you want, but don't overuse the space. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. So we recently completed one that was 1.5 meters deep and 2.8 meters wide. Now that is small, but perfectly formed, and it looked fantastic. We tiled halfway, and the key to it, and this was one of the real big secrets in that room, we put a giant mirror on the wall. And what that does, when you walk into that room, even though it's only 1.5 meters deep, because the mirror is across the back wall, it looks twice as big because your eye is drawn through to the reflection of the wall behind you. So actually it feels when you walk in like it's 3 meters big, even though it's only 1.5, because the mirror reflects the whole size of the room and visually makes it look twice as big. So 2 key tips. Don't make your ensuite bathroom bigger than it needs to be, because you want to use that space in your bedroom. You will spend more time and do more things in your bedroom than you will in the ensuite. So minimize the amount of space that the ensuite takes up, but maximize the wow factor by putting lots of exciting, great things in there. And then think about the design. So what we've just said about built-in storage can be applied to your bathroom as well. So the one we completed recently, we had some built-in storage shelves within the shower. Really easy to do if you tell your builder in advance. You tile into it so it looks great, and really useful as well because you can store all your shampoos and everything else you need in the bathroom in there. But it adds the wow factor. When people see it, they think, oh, why didn't I do that? That's what I would like. And it's really difficult to do later without causing a lot of damage and disruption and cost. So think about what you want in there. Make sure it's a nice finish. Build some storage if you can, but don't make it too big. Don't give up the usable space in your bedroom for a large ensuite, because you'll only spend a small amount of time in there. The next tip is natural light. So In a loft, you want to maximize the amount of natural light because if it's bright, it will feel light, airy, modern, and a really wow feel to it. So there's two key tips here. Firstly, on the stairs on the way up to your room, make sure you put some form of natural light into that staircase. If you don't have any form of natural light, a window or a roof light, it's going to be dark. You're going to have to put your light on every time you go upstairs, and it just gives it that loft feel where it's an afterthought rather than looking like it's part of the original house. If you put a window and have some natural light on that stairwell, it's going to feel inviting, bright, and bigger. And it's just fantastic. It's a really nice feel. It just feels great to have natural light rather than having to have artificial light all the time. The next point on natural light is your Velux windows. So the roof lights that you put on the sloping part of the roof in your loft room. Put big ones in and as many as possible. So if you can get two large windows on the sloping part of your roof, that's going to change the feel of the room because you'll then have windows at both ends of your loft and it's going to make it feel bright and airy and you can see out of the window. So it automatically draws your eye out to the sky, makes it feel bigger. You can open those windows as well so you can get some fresh air in there as an added bonus, but as much natural light as possible. So make sure you've got big Velux windows, have big window on the back of the room. Make sure there is natural light in the ensuite. It really changes the feel of an ensuite if it's got an actual window in there rather than having just downlights or some other form of lighting. Put a window in there, ideally one that can be open so you can let some of the moisture out if you have lots of condensation after a shower. It just makes it feel lighter and brighter. And it's nice not to have to put your lights on all the time. So natural light is a really important part of your design process and will help with the wow factor. If people can go up to your loft without having to put lights on, it just makes it feel so much better. The next tip is flooring. Now, flooring is often overlooked in a loft area, and the most common form of flooring is carpet. So most of the lofts that we've seen have carpet as standard. That's what people put in. It's almost, they're not thinking it through all the way. They're just saying, okay, I've done everything else, I've done the design, and now I'm just going to stick some carpet down because that's what people do in lofts. Don't do that. Do not do that. Put something in your loft that's going to create the wow factor. So you want people to go in there and go, oh wow, I never expected this. And flooring is one of those areas that you can really create the wow. So we like natural wood. So we put engineered wood down in all of our lofts. And that is really quite a surprise for a lot of people. And they think, oh, hang on, you can't put wood because it's noisy for the people below. It isn't, because you've got soundproofing. It's like any floor. You can put wooden floor down in any floor of your house, but it does create that wow factor. And often people don't have shoes on in a loft area anyway, so it'd be barefoot or socks. So it's not going to create a lot more noise, but it will create an amazing feel. It will look bigger because wooden flooring makes an area feel and look bigger. And it's just going to give you that quality feel. When you walk in, it's going to make it feel amazing. It's going to give you that super wow factor. So a little bit more expensive than carpet, but put it in and you will see the difference. It is incredible. You could even put tiling down if you wanted to. We don't, but you could. We put it into the bathroom. So we'll often have wooden floor in the loft and tiled area in the ensuite. That works fine, but you could tile the whole area. Or you can put any flooring that you like, whatever you feel is your flavor, is your brand. But think about the flooring, put something in that's really going to give you that wow factor, that's going to make you feel that it's an amazing place to go to. And the final tip for this video is the staircase. So think about the staircase. The staircase is the entry point to your loft. It's the first impression. When people are coming up to see your loft, it's the first time that they get a feel for what you've created, something that you've added to that house. So make it have the wow factor. So 2 tips on that. Firstly, put some flooring down that matches what you've got in your loft. So if you've got wooden flooring in your loft, put it on the staircase to the loft as well. And that is going to blow people away. That will give you an amazing result in terms of the wow factor, because people don't expect it. They expect carpet, and suddenly they're seeing an amazing wooden staircase leading up to your incredible loft. So it's a bit extra cost and it's a bit of extra work, but it's worth it. If you think this loft's going to be there for the next 100 years, spend a bit more time, spend an extra day and a little bit more money to make it look incredible. And as well as the flooring, there's the balustrade, the banister. So you can match exactly what you've got in your house, and that's what most people do. And that is an opportunity maybe to change the banisters in the rest of your house, so maybe upgrade all of it so that you're putting in maybe some real wood spindles or something ornate or something different. Or if you don't want to do that and you don't want to match what's in the rest of your house, you can put something else in. So you could create a whole new look for your loft. So it could be different types of spindles, different material, might not be wood, you could go metal or something else. But think about it, just think it through, think what you like, what makes you happy, and what you think is your touch, is your personal touch that's going to give this loft your personality. Because you want the wow factor, you want to be happy every single time you walk up that staircase. You want to be thinking, I love this banister, I love these stairs, I love my natural light window. All of those things, think about it and make sure you design it and build it exactly the way you want it to give yourself the wow factor every single day. Okay, so hopefully that's given you some tips, some ideas, some thoughts about how to go about thinking about your loft to make it different and to create a space that is amazing, that has got the wow. We've been the Property Gurus. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.